I'm Mel,
I'm Chris.
and we are Limited Mobility, Unlimited Miles, and we're telling our story from the motorcycle wreck through our recovery and how we ended up doing it full time in the RV. So today I'm going to just talk about the insurance problems that we had. I hope that's not like super boring, but it was a really big deal. So when we left you last week, I was at home, or I was at my mom's house. Chris was at Catherine's place. But getting Chris to Catherine's place from Springfield was hard. And I think we kind of touched on it, but I can't remember what all we said, so I'm just going to tell the story. So when Chris was ready to discharge from the hospital in Springfield, Missouri, he was still complete bed rest. He couldn't do anything on his own. He had to be Hoyer lifted to the bathroom. He can't do anything. And they're wanting to discharge him, but he can't go to rehab yet because they can't rehab him until he's cleared to be off of bed rest because there's nothing that he can do. So they were saying that he had to, like, basically, like, we're kicking him to the curb, figure it out. And I was like, what the hell? And so, reminder of my state of mind at this time, I'm just newly discharged from rehab, still, deep in recovery myself, barely. I'm having to fight with insurance. So I can't tell you how many people I called, how many times I talked to people about insurance. Anyway, I finally got them to take him at Catherine's place. But insurance will only pay for 30 days. So he had 30 days to stay there, and then insurance stops paying, and it's $2,000 a day. So in order to get him from Springfield, Missouri to Fayetteville, Arkansas, he had to travel by ambulance. And I know he told y'all about that in a previous video, but so we didn't think anything about it at the time. It was like, there's no other way for him to get there. So they transferred him, and he came by ambulance. He went to Catherine's place, and then he was there for 30 days. And then when we got, so I was like, I could breathe easy for a minute. I was like, okay, I got 30 days covered. Now what? But I can't remember how long he had to. I can't remember how long he had to be complete bed rest. And
That's bed rest. Sure. Hospital stay, Catherine's place, and a few weeks in, and the other rehab, or actual rehab, and then supposed to let
you're not helping me.
It's 30 days in
Yeah,
Catherine's
30 days in Catherine's place. So kind of just went with that, and then we started getting closer, probably about halfway through that stay, and we find out that he's not going to be off of bed rest when that 30 days runs out. And rehab's still saying they won't take him because there's nothing they can do. So again, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So, because I'm still very dependent on my mom. So I asked my mom if Chris could come there until he could go to the rehab, and she said no. So
She didn't like me very much. Still don't.
that was the beginning of the problems that started with my mom. But yeah, she said no, he can't come here. Okay. And I wasn't ready to be at home by myself, and so I was kind of stuck. And so I was frantically in front. Anyway, long story short, with that, after days and days of stress, so much stress, like, I can't even explain to you the emotional toll this took on me. Trying to make sure that he had a place to go and that insurance was going to cover it. And finally, I got the rehab to agree to take him, even though he was on bed rest. They said they'd work with him on his arms and stuff like that and his speech. So they finally agreed to take him. And then he then goes to rehab, and so he was at Springfield, Missouri Hospital, discharged from there to Catherine's place, which is a nursing home, and then discharged from there to rehab. But rehab, you can only stay there for 2 weeks. That's all insurance will cover is 2 weeks. So then I had to figure out what's going to happen when he, gets out of rehab. I was like, what are we going to do? So while he's in Catherine's Place and in rehab, things are falling apart with my mom. I'm not going to go into like great detail. I don't want to bash her on this channel, but she basically just one day decided that I needed to be taking care of myself, and she was old and tired and she couldn't do it anymore. So I was like, okay. So I left. My kids came and got me and took me to the house, and ready or not, it was time for me to take care of myself. Jake was staying there still, but he works, 40 hours a week, so there was a lot of time it was just me. And I remember when I first left my mom's and went, like, I got there like on a Saturday, and then my kids left, and then nobody came over on Sunday, and Jake works on Sundays, and I just sat there and cried in my chair because I was just here I go again, but I was scared again. I was just like, I'm here all by myself. I can barely function. It was horrible. It was a horrible time. And then in the middle of that, where I'm going through all this emotional stress and everything with the insurance, trying to get everything paid for, it was a terrible time. It was a terrible, terrible time. And if anybody that deals with chronic pain, that stress makes you hurt. It makes it worse. It's bad for your body to be under a lot of stress. But anyway, so I'm now at home, and then we were coming up on the end of Chris's 2 weeks in rehab, and so he has to come home. So he called a friend of his to build us a ramp, which thankfully he did, but he'd never built a ramp before, and he built it way too steep. Like, what degree? I mean, it was like this.
Probably 35, 40 degree, instead of being long, it was more like this. We have a back porch, and it was from the back porch to the side of the house, which it needed to go another 5 or 6 foot out, but he built it.
Yeah, it was because our house had like 20 steps to get in it. So, Chris isn't a small guy, and he couldn't do anything. So once again, Gage and Tanner had to, they just manhandled him up the ramp. Like, it was, I don't know how they did it. Like, they just had to push. Anyway, very lucky that I had 3 boys to help facilitate all the stuff that we had to do. But anyway, so he discharged, he got home. Well, then he's home, but he still can't do anything, and it was just a nightmare. It was just a nightmare. The fact that places won't pay for somebody who's on bed rest to be in the hospital. Like, I guess it was kind of a different situation because I was also in recovery, and so you don't have, but people live, I don't know. It was awful. And I fought with insurance and fought with insurance and fought with insurance. And then Chris was home for a while, and then once he finally got released from bed rest, he went back to rehab for another 2 weeks and did some actual therapy. And so all of that happened. We got through it somehow. We got through it. And then I want to say it was like, I don't know, 6 months later, maybe a year after the wreck or something, we get
I think it was like 6, 8 months. It wasn't a year. It was like 6 or 8 months.
We got a bill from the ambulance company for almost $7,000 that insurance wasn't going to cover the ambulance ride. And I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. There was no other way to transfer him. I mean, he told you he was strapped down. Tell him again.
Yes, they put me on a backboard and strapped me down and put pillows all around me and strapped my gurney down, and I just laid there like this for 2.5 hours driving down. Well, I was laying there just strapped down. And
yeah, so I mean, he couldn't have gone in a regular vehicle. It was ridiculous. So, and Chris actually was well enough by that time that he was able to handle that because I was back to work at that time, and so he had to fight with insurance then.
Yeah, for several months, back and forth, because they couldn't find in my medical files where the doctor had released me and to be transferred by ambulance. They needed that word transfer on some paperwork, and I fought with them for months and months. And they finally got the insurance.
He
to pay for
he
it.
had to actually, no, you remember you had to get a hold of the doctor's office, the
Oh, yeah.
hospital,
Yeah.
and have the doctor had to write a letter saying that he had to be transferred by ambulance. It was unbelievable, and so it was just a nightmare. I mean, I'm glad we had insurance because the hospital bills were, through the roof, and the doctor bills and the follow up and all of that stuff through the roof. I mean, I'm very thankful that we had insurance.
Now we had home PT.
Yeah.
But insurance paid for it.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, insurance paid for what, but we had to fight for it every step of the way. We had to fight, and it just shouldn't be that way. When you're trying to recover and heal, you shouldn't be having to fight insurance companies. Like, it's just ridiculous. So, anyway, that's gonna be our gripe, our story for today is just fighting with insurance. But we did eventually get everything got paid for. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars. I couldn't even tell you what the total our medical bills were. But yeah, so that's the story for this week. I hope that wasn't a boring one because it was just about insurance. But we did that, and then so I guess next week maybe we'll get into some of the home PT that we did. I don't know. We may jump pretty far ahead. We're kind of getting to boring parts of the story. But anyway, so that's all I got.
That's all I got for now.
All right, we will see y'all next week.
Come back and watch us. See you later.
Subscribe.